Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 2014 Art Taipei Forum Round 2. And thank you all for attending this event at such early morning. I appreciate. And please be advised that turn off your mobile device or switch to the vibration mode. And also, if you need the interpretation, simultaneous interpretation devices, you can just borrow it with a valid ID at the entrance door. Thank you. And now we are heading to our first section titled Bridging Arts and Business for Cross-Innovation. And I would like to welcome the Director of Innovation Insight Hub at University of Arts London, Mr. Giovanni Scuma, to introduce the topic of us. Let's welcome him.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for being here. I know I realize it's a very early morning. Walking from the hotel here, I realized that Taipei was almost empty. So no one was walking around. So I realized that it's really early on Saturday morning. So thank you for being here. And I would like to thank the organizer of this event for inviting me, particularly Director Long Shen, and also the Chairman Oliver Chang. And it's really a big honor for me to be back in Taiwan after a very long time. I was here for the first time almost 14 years ago, so after 14 years I could see a lot of changes around, and positive changes. So I'm really excited and happy to be back here in Taipei. So let's start with my presentation. We are a small group, a small audience, so please don't feel afraid to interrupt me if there is anything that you would like to ask or any comment during my presentation. So I'm really happy to take questions from you or comments during even my presentation. But then we will have, at the end of my session, 50 minutes, so we could also articulate some conversation. As from my title, the idea is to talk about how arts and business can collaborate, and in particular, how the collaboration between arts and business can support cross-innovation. But initially, I prepared my speech focusing specifically and in general on the concept of the arts. And when we talk about the arts, we talk all the possible art forms. But then, considering the specific context and also the organizer that have invited me for this conference, I thought that it would be better to focus specifically on arts gallery. And in particular, from that point of view, I would like really quickly to understand the nature of the audience. How many people that are in charge of running a gallery, an art gallery, are in the audience? Can you please put up your hand, just to understand? Not many. So how many students? How many students do we have in the room? And how many professionals working in the sector in the cultural sector and in general in the arts? I assume all the others. And so, anyway, the focus I thought to consider is a particular the arts galleries, considering that this forum is a part also of the Art Taipei Fair. But before introducing my topic in particular, let me introduce my research center. As the introducer was addressing, I am the director of the Innovation Insights Hub. This is a new research center that has been founded at the University of Arts London. University of Arts London is the biggest university of arts in Europe, and is a university that put together 6 different colleges that used to be independent colleges, and they make one big university. And in particular, the Innovation Insights Hub is located in the Centro San Martin Arts and Design, which is, as you probably know, is one of the most renowned colleges in arts and design around the world. The focus of the Innovation Insights Hub is exploring how arts and business can collaborate. What are the benefits for, in particular, business to get arts in their organization? And in order to represent metaphorically the meaning of this collaboration, we were looking for a symbol that could represent our art. And this is what we came out with some of the artists from our college. The idea of the knot with the two different ends. On one end, the business, on the other end, the arts. So what we are trying really to explore and to investigate with our research center is how these two different words can really come together, and from the merge of these different words, energy can be liberated, energy which we call in particular cross-innovation. Our focus, our mission as a research center then is to disclose the power of the arts for business. So particularly we are interested in understanding how organizations can apply the arts in the business context. And the kind of activities that we are developing is, on one end, we develop grounded theory research, and on the other hand, we are very committed to develop practice-based research. So we work with institutions, we work with organizations in order to develop and to understand how they can apply arts and what does it mean, the application of the arts, so in all the possible art forms in the business context, and what are the benefits of this collaboration. In terms of activities, we work across all the 6 colleges that I was mentioning before. So we engage all the different colleagues from different discipline, arts discipline, but the idea of the hub is also to create an international network. So I'm really pleased to be in Taiwan, and I hope that this visit will be also the basis for developing a collaboration. We have collaboration with South Korea, with South Africa, in Europe with many organizations, and the idea is to create a network of different organizations that wants to explore how arts and business can collaborate. In fact, this collaboration between arts and business is still in its infancy. So there are some experimentation, but there is not really a theory, there is not really a discipline, there are not really a lot of really practical-based experiences that can prove that really this collaboration is beneficial for business. And in fact, what we are trying to develop, starting from this fundamental assumption, is to understand how the art can be at the core of change of the organization. And in particular, when we look at the relationship, the actual relationship between arts and business, this relationship is still based on a traditional approach, the sponsorship, the patronage, where the idea is that business can support the arts, but arts has nothing to do or nothing to offer to the business. But what we have been developing in the last decade is research. In particular, we develop our theory. This is my book, The Value of Arts for Business, from Cambridge University Press, where basically we collected all our research, our theory, and we built the theory, and now we are trying to develop further this theory in terms of practical application. And what we are trying to do is basically can be summarized in this figure, in this depiction. What we have is, this is the actual relationship between arts and business. There is a gap, a deep gap. And there is a lot of skepticism between these two different words. And in particular, business is really skeptic that arts can really offer something to them in order to support their business performance, their value creation. And on the other hand, the poor artists are really skeptical in the relationship with business. They think that if they will get somehow engaged with business, they will get dirty, they will lose their artistic power. So the basic idea is that the only way to collaborate in the traditional way, in the traditional approach, is a business supporting in the form of patronage the arts, but these two words have nothing to do. But what we are trying to develop is, and this is our goal, is to bridge these two different words. And in particular, what we are committed to is to develop a new discipline that we call arts-based management. Arts-based management is different from cultural administration or arts management. Arts management and cultural administration is about understanding how can we apply the business principle in the arts organization. How can we apply all the paraphernalia or tools that comes from the business school in the cultural organization? When we talk about arts-based management, we are talking about how can we apply the principles, the products, the skills that comes from the arts world to the business world. And what are the benefits of creating creative partnership between the arts and the business? So this is what we are trying to develop, and hopefully today I will give you some insights that can inspire your understanding. Again, my idea was, and my idea is to focus particularly on the galleries, considering the context of this conference. And the focus is looking at the cross-innovation, where the concept of cross-innovation is how arts and business can come together and can fertilize their activities. So business can inform and improve the arts organization, particularly arts galleries in this case, but also how arts galleries can provide benefits for the business. And we will be focusing on 3 dimensions. I will start with the what, how, and why of the value creation, in particular of arts galleries. Yesterday, the introduction of the chairman of the conference, he stresses that the focus of the conference was on the risk management of the arts galleries. How can we manage the risk in a complex and turbulent environment, particularly when there are environmental changes that can really put at risk the artworks in the arts gallery. My focus today is opposite somehow, moving from the concept of risk management to the concept of opportunity management. And yesterday it was explained that this is the logo of this conference, ±2 degrees for arts, with the idea from an old documentary that we are living environmental changes that expose arts galleries to big risks. Well, today I want to talk and change the focus and talk +2 dollars and impact for arts. So rather than to look at the risk, look to the opportunities of approaching and creating an opportunity for arts galleries in exploring the relationship with the business. This is one of the paintings. Actually, I took some of the images from the fair, the art fair that we have here. So if you have not visited yet, I would kindly invite you to do so, because there are a lot of inspiring artworks. Where are today the galleries? What is the role of the art galleries in today's economic climate? Well, they are kind of gatekeeper between 2 worlds. On one hand, we have the arts, we have the artist. On the other hand, we have the business. And the role of the galleries, the art galleries, is basically to create a kind of interface where the artist, particularly the emergent artist, can find a place to present, to showcase their own artworks, and the business can then approach, understand about these emerging contemporary artists in particular, and then buy the artworks. But then the key question is, when we look at the role of arts galleries as gatekeeper, is the understanding what are the value of the galleries and what particularly the galleries are generating in terms of value. Or if you want, in other terms, why do arts gallery exist? What is the goal of art galleries? So try for 1 second on your own to think, to try to provide an answer to this question. When you think about an art gallery, what is the role of an art gallery? What is the goal of an art gallery? What kind of value an art gallery is generating? And then, what is the reason for an art gallery to exist? If we look at the literature, there are 3 fundamental goals that an art gallery is trying to somehow to address. The first one is an economic goal. So art galleries are enterprises. They work, they sell artworks, so their scope is also to generate revenues. But it's not just that. Art galleries also play a really important cultural role in the cities. And in particular, we are more and more experimenting the creation of art district. And also here in Taipei, as a part of the activities of the organizer, there is also, and of the association, there is the formation of arts district. So the arts gallery also play an important role from social cultural point of view, because they are catalyzer of conversation around the artworks and where they are located. And then, of course, they are very important because they represent a vector a platform for all the young emerging artists to present their artworks. So these are the three fundamental goals that art galleries tend to address. They provide economic benefits, they provide social cultural benefits for the local institution. In fact, usually galleries like a museum, you can walk in for free. There is not any admission fee. So it's a way also to showcase arts and to bring arts in places where usually you don't have any museum. And then there is a very important artistic reason for the art galleries. And then what is, from considering the benefits, the goal of arts gallery, what is then the role of art galleries? And this is again is another artwork that you can find in the fair. If we try to measure the role, the position of art galleries in today's business, we can find fundamentally two roles. There is one hedonic role and one is the utilitarian role. Actually, these two roles serve each other. They are not disconnected. But mainly when we think about the role of arts, and when we think about particularly the role of fine arts, what is the real role of of the arts, if you think about it? They are vector, they are means, they are instrument for creating emotional experiences. And so there is the hedonic role is because people through the arts can somehow be in touch with their own feelings, with their own emotion. And this is also the reason why most of the cases the founder of an art gallery create a relationship with a few artists that feels very close to his or her own feelings, his or her own passion. Then the people, the collector that approach the artworks, usually they choose some specific artworks because they are somehow engaged emotionally with the artworks. But then there is also an utilitarian role, an instrumental role of the visual arts, of the arts gallery. And it is in particular on this instrumental and utilitarian role that I will focus my attention now, because it is when we think about the instrumental utilitarian role of the arts galleries, and then specifically of the fine arts, and more generally of all the possible art forms, that we can fully understand how arts can contribute to business. Well, in order to understand what is the value of the arts galleries, fine arts for business, I will start with one of the framework that I have developed in my book and that we use when we collaborate with organizations to make sense of how arts can impact in business, how arts can be adopted within organization to transform an organization, to develop an organization. So this framework is like a kind of compass that both artists and businesses can use to make sense of why they can use arts in their business. This framework we call the arts value matrix because it's a matrix that can help to understand how arts can be adopted within organizational context to create benefits, to improve the value creation capacity of an organization, and then to support cross-innovation. When we think about the use of arts in general, within business, within organization, but then specifically fine arts, we can see two fundamental roles as a vector of change within an organization. Arts can be used as a way to transform, to develop people, employees, all the people within the organization, but very generally, all the stakeholders that are connected with an organization. Or, and this is the basic access here, so the idea that arts can be used as a way to change people, to develop people. Or arts can be used as a way to transform an organization, to transform in particular the infrastructural capital of an organization. And when we think about the infrastructural capital, then when we think about an organization, we can identify two fundamental components of an infrastructure of any organization, both public and private. One dimension is all the tangible assets, the facilities, the equipment, the products, and then there are intangible infrastructure, the culture, the value, the identity, the procedures, the philosophy, the management philosophy, the leadership style. So when we think about an organization, at the end we can identify three fundamental components of an organization. The people, the infrastructure that can be tangible and intangible. Arts can be used as a way to support the transformation of all these three components. In this graph, what we try to do is to make sense of how the arts can be applied to transform these three components. And then we have identified, using a measurement system based on three variables, low, medium, and high, how the arts can impact the intensity of the impact of the use of arts to transform people or to transform the organizational infrastructure. And then we have identified 9 categories of benefits. We will go through each of these categories of benefits that are listed in this matrix: entertainment, galvanizing, inspiration, reputation, environment, learning and development, investment, networking, and transformation. The first one is entertainment. The first fundamental use of the arts is for entertaining people, is to release fun. Why people want to be in touch with the arts. Think about yourself, why you go to the cinema, why you like to go to a concert, why you like to go to a theater. But in particular, why we like to go to Art Taipei 2014, or we want to visit a gallery. Because at that moment it becomes an entertainment. It's really fun, it gives us pleasure. It can be an emotional pleasure, can be a cognitive pleasure, but it is fun. So the first fundamental impact of the use of arts in business is simply for entertaining people. So we can use arts for entertaining people. A lot of organizations today are experimenting the use of arts in different ways. So thinking about the galleries and thinking about the arts district, why organization, because in particular the arts district that you are developing, as I know, is located in a very kind of office-based area, there could be one day or half day off with the people, employees, walking across the galleries and having a different experience with different moment of facilitation or networking. So there will be one day or half day out where people can release and can have finally a moment for entertaining, but that will be also the basis for changing them, for having benefits for the organization in a different way. But the first fundamental way of using arts in business is just for entertaining. And this sometimes is very good, particularly in those organizational contexts that are quite tough from working point of view. Then arts can be used as a way to galvanize people, to energize people. Think again about our own experience. When we want to get some energy, what is the best thing to do? Well, personally, I like to listen to some music. The music, and if you choose your best music, gives you an adrenaline, a boost of energy, at least for some time. The same is for art. Arts can give some energy. Arts can be used for galvanizing. Again, this is an artwork that you can find in the fair. This is a metaphor. Arts can give you this push, this energy. And there are some artworks, also in the fine arts, that are so beautiful, so engaging, that makes you feel good. So that is the role of arts. You can choose arts with that specific purpose, to create this energy, to galvanize people within the organization. And this is very important. Think about many organizations today are going through very stressful time. There is a lot of depression within the organization. People are depressed within the organization. Arts can be used also as a way to manage this energy, this negative tension, or this positive tension. So it has a very important role in terms of managing the energy of people within organization. But then, when we think, as you can see here, we are moving along this axis of the matrix, and what is happening, the impact on people transformation is becoming more intense. We started with entertainment, with then a galvanizing, now inspiration. Inspiration arts can really inspire change in people. Again, one of the examples that always I like to stress, if we tell to our children, don't do that, what you expect will happen. They will do exactly what you are telling them not to do. So the only way to make a change in the behavior, to inspire people, is to let them to reflect on themselves, to self-assess, to look themselves inside. And how you can do that is very complex if you think how we can self-assess. But the arts have this power. The arts has the power to spark reflection, to spark thinking, who we are, what we do, what is our identity. Do we have two faces? So this is again another painting that I saw from the art fair that we have here in Taipei that is very inspirational because it lets you think about yourself. This is the power of the arts. You can use this in the organizational context. Then arts can be used also as a way to raise your identity, to communicate your brand, to communicate your image. So arts can be used as a tool, basically, for managing your brand identity and then what I call here reputation. And again, we have in the Art Taipei why Jaguar has decided to sponsor Art Taipei. But why? It's because they want to create an association. And today, all around the world, there are many businesses that are starting their own galleries. But why they are starting their own galleries? Usually it's because a founder or the entrepreneur has a passion for contemporary arts, but more and more they are becoming very concerned about what kind of artwork to choose and for which purpose, and how that artworks are really connected with their brand, with their identity, and they can use eventually that artworks also internally for their employees to communicate what the organization is doing, why the organization is operating in such a way. So in that case, what I want here to raise as a point is that art galleries have many different opportunities, not just selling, but looking for other dimension of value that can propose a different way to collaborate on a different level with the business. So one important dimension of value creation for organization using arts is really the reputational way to build. Then the other very important component, as we are moving now at this level of the matrix, and so we are starting to have an impact not only on people but also on the organization, infrastructure of the organization, is environment. When we talk about environment, yesterday we were talking about climate change. I talk here about environment as the way of using arts to transform the environment around us. And this can be external environment to the organization or could be the workplace. Think about organizations like Google, Apple. What they are doing, they are creating workplaces where people can feel good, where people can really feel relaxed. So the well-being of people within an organization is very much related to the interior design. But a very important component of the interior design is that all the artworks that we can put within an organization. And again, a lot of organizations, corporations are choosing artworks as a way to embellish their headquarters. But again, these artworks or this exhibition they are starting to put in the office, they are starting to serve a specific purpose. They want to choose some artworks that can create some kind of feeling, can be provocational, can be more relaxing. So again, you can use arts, and in particular fine arts, as a way to create and transmit some meaning. And this is the role of art as a way to create an atmosphere within or around the organization. And again, the last project of Steve Jobs was to create a new headquarters, a spaceship headquarters, where basically the design of the space around the environment, but also inside, was a way to inspire people, to get them people engaged with their heart and not only with their mind. Then arts can be used as a way for training people, to develop people. This is just an example, again, from our fair, Educational Space. This is usually for kids, but actually arts is becoming more and more important also for adults. In many business schools, in particular, for example, at the City University in Cass Business School, they are using fine arts. They are teaching to business students how to draw and how to use visual image to communicate, express their idea in order to be more creative, in order to be more communicator, better communicator. So the point is that arts can serve also a very fundamental role in developing some specific skills in people. There are a lot of organizations, consultancy organizations, that are starting to use fine arts as a tool for leadership development. They invite leaders to observe some paintings and they ask, what do you see? And each leader is expressing his or her own judgment, which is always different. But then they use the painting as a kind of therapeutic tool, but as an instrument to reflect on who they are, what are their management style, their leadership skills. So again here, what I want to stress that when you think about fine art and you think about the art product, it's not only an art product that from a hedonic point of view you can sell. It's not just an asset, but can be an instrument, a platform to support learning, to create a new different collaboration with the business. Then we can start to have a better and stronger impact on the infrastructure of organization. We can use arts as investment. Of course, when we think about the arts gallery, all the attention is on the arts, the artworks as an asset, and then from a monetary point of view. But what I want to stress here is not only, and my invitation for you is not only to think about the artworks as a monetary investment, a financial investment, but arts is becoming a very powerful tool to embellish, to increase the intangible value incorporated into the products. And again, working here in Taiwan, I visited a very small gallery, and in this small gallery, the manager of this small gallery, he showed me how he is developing a collaboration between artist, designer, to create packaging for CD. So basically, this is the artworks of an artist, and the idea is that this packaging is protecting the CD, but the overall result is to make this product beautiful, with some meaning, different, and again, this is a way to create value into the products. And there is a lot of way to explore and create collaboration. So to create different kind of product. Actually, it's very interesting. When you think about the people visiting museums, what do you think is what people take with them when they leave the museum? What is the most important, or if you want, the most pragmatic tool that they take with them? Well, the last visit, when you check out the museum, is the shop of the museum. And there you buy some artworks that remind you, or can create a kind of anchor with the artworks that you have visited. And then you, in this world, museum can make a lot of money. But if you try to scale up this, they can become even more powerful. Actually, this is interesting, because again, in the art fair, there was only one gallery that was selling a small box with small paintings on the artist, for actually affordable price. My point is that when you think about product artworks, you can also see other dimension, other spillover effects and other products, or you can explore and understand how that artworks or the arts can be used to create intangible value that is reflected in other products through different collaboration. So this is the way, when we think about investment, there is more and more attention on how to use the arts also to create value into other products that are not just the artworks in itself. Then arts can be used as a way to support the relational capital, to support networking. And again, this is an example from the museum here in Taipei. People go in this room, and they are not just experiencing their artworks. These are kids that they are playing. Actually, you cannot really recognize them. But this is a way to create network. So think about bringing adults here, a group of leaders or a group of employees, and let experience walk in this room. They will become a different way to build networking, to let them create different experience. So arts can play a very important role also as a way to build this networking. This is in the case of group networking. But then you can use arts as a way to build a relationship with other stakeholders. Then, for example, organizations are more and more interested in corporate social responsibility. So how can we create, thinking about arts galleries, a relationship using the corporate social responsibility to move to another level the relationship between an arts district, for example, and corporate social responsibility. So the sponsorship becomes not one-to-one, but one-to-many, and how this can become something that is connected with the development of an urban area. And then finally, transformation. Arts play a fundamental role to open up new opportunities. And in particular, within the organization, arts can play many different roles for transformation, but one fundamental is that arts and fine arts can be used as a way to transform the culture, the value of an organization. How do we communicate within an organization in a very effective way the leadership style of someone. Someone that doesn't want to listen, someone that doesn't want to, or is not a very good communicator, someone that doesn't want to see what really is going on within the organization. And there are a lot of leaders like this, or a lot of people that tends to go in their own silos. Well, arts can become a powerful way to communicate this, because you can use arts in a very effective way to communicate what is the values within the organization. This is just an example. Again, an example that I took from the art fair. But this is a way to show you how arts can play an important role also to open up new opportunities and transformation within the organization. So, the scope of this first tool is to let you understand or envisage what could be the opportunities for creating new relationships. When you think about the activities of art galleries, not just being an interface, a gatekeeper, as we were saying at the beginning of my presentation, but exploring new way of creating different forms of value for business and engaging with the business on a creative partnership that can be beneficial to transform the activities of business. But then, why business should need arts? What are the reasons for businesses to get arts on board? And here, arts in general, not just the fine arts, not just the relationship with the galleries. Well, I have developed this model that I believe can be very useful for you to go through, that helps to understand what are the 6 value drivers, as I call them, the 6 E's, that are driving the value creation in the 21st century, from my perspective. These 6 E's are the experience, the emotion, energy, ethics, environment, and engagement. These are the 6 E's, I believe, that as intangible values, as value drivers, are supporting and driving the value creation of organization. And these 6 E's, the management of these 6 E's, are really grounded based on the arts culture, on the creative activities. We will go through each of these dimension pillars to give you some insights why and how they are important. Let's start with the first pillar, experience. We are more and more living in an experience-based economy. What we buy are experiences. We don't buy just a product. I mean, here there are just some of the examples that usually I use to express this concept of experience. One of my preferred one is the Ducati, as I was mentioning in a lecture in the University of Art Taipei. One of the main characteristics of Ducati is that you can recognize a motorbike without seeing the Ducati, because the engine, the noise, the sound of the engine has been patterned by musicians and engineers. And actually, today walking here, I recognize one Ducati approaching the traffic light without seeing that. It's a metallic sound, like tick, tick, tick. And that characteristic is an experience for the bikers. But actually, when Ducati, one of the most successful bikes was the Monster. I don't know if you love bikes. I am a Ducatista, so I have the Ducati. But one of the you don't use.
The U bike.
Well,
it's a free bike.
A free bike
around Taipei City.
Okay.
So,
but
you have expensive taste.
Well, yes, that's true. I'm Italian, so Ducati is Italian, so bike. But one of the most interesting characteristics of Ducati when they created this bike is that it was possible to tailor the color of the bike. So, and actually, they were asking to artists to paint some of the components of the bike in order to make the bike unique. So you see how the arts becomes a way to create an experience for the consumer, but also to create an intangible value into the products. And then, when we think about other products, but actually one of the, I don't know if you are familiar with Nando's. You know, Nando's is like a food chain, like McDonald's, but actually Nando's is doing very well. Is doing very, very well in UK. And one of the characteristics of this food chain is that they are exhibiting in their shops artworks from South African artists. So what is happening? They started this like a kind of emerging collaboration. They were inviting emerging artists to show up, to showcase their artworks in their shops. And initially they thought was just a way to support young artists, to find a possible channel different from the galleries to present their artwork. But what they found out, that this relationship was really creating value for them, because it was creating a completely different atmosphere in the shop for people to go in, and each shop was becoming a unique place to experience, not just for eating. So again, people, they started to choose one place rather than another, in this case to choose Nando rather than other food chain, because they can live there a different experience. You see how arts can become important in relation to the creation of this experience economy? And why this is the case? Because basically when we talk about the experience, we are talking about the creation of intangible value. And the creation of intangible value is all about managing the aesthetics of products. And the aesthetics is about the symbol, the symbolism that is incorporated into the product, and is also all about the sensory dimension that you are able to engage through the part of the product. So when we create intangible value in order to support an experience economy or the generation of experience, then arts can play a very fundamental role, and then the collaboration between artists, designer, and then company becomes very important. The second pillar of the value creation of my model of 6E is emotion. Again, emotion traditionally within the organization have been disregarded, and emotion has been considered as something to relegate in a corner within an organization. But more and more, organizations are realizing that emotion plays a fundamental role for the success of an organization. When we are achieving high level of performance, when we not just put our mind, but when we put our heart, when this interaction works well, and this is one of the first organizations to stress the importance of passion, emotion in business has been Apple. Apple, Steve Jobs has always stressed the importance of emotion, passion within the organization. And what he used to say is the emotion is a way to support your activity in work, and the only way to do great things is to love what you do. And then this is a way not only to stress that emotion, passion is a way to achieve high results, but in everyday life. What is happening nowadays is that most of the people in their business life, in their work life, they don't do what they love to do. Unfortunately, somehow people get stuck in their work activities for many different reasons, and they have bills to pay, and then they get stuck in their work activities. So it's very important in the workplace to let people rediscover what they love, or what they can love about what they do. And in fact, there are a lot of business consultancy companies that are going within the company and using arts, are trying to help people to develop artful learning or artful understanding, to try to reflect what they can find or what they do in everyday life in the world, they can really enjoy. And they can bring in some arts or arts components that can stimulate this understanding on these characteristics. So the point is that emotion is playing a very important role for the success of an organization. This is very, very important in nowadays business context, which is more and more complex, more dynamic, and then it's becoming more stressful for people. And then the management of emotion is important, both to deal with stress, but also to motivate people intrinsically to get the best of themselves. And also, the emotions are becoming very important because through emotion it's possible to deliver better products and better services to the people. A very important case example in this perspective is Cleveland Clinic. Cleveland Clinic is an hospital in the US, and they've been using the concept of empathy, and they've been focusing on empathy as a key component and the key competence to develop in their people, in their employees, in order to achieve excellence. Why? Because they've realized that their capacity of delivering value is not only related to their capacity of curing people, but there is much more. And actually, from this point of view, I have a short video that can help you to understand how important is the empathy when we think about businesses like an healthcare organization. So let's watch this 3 minutes video, and then we can have some reflection about this. So this company, as you can see from this video, which is an artworks in itself, an artworks that touch our feelings, and this is the power of arts. Arts is all about touching and managing our feeling, putting us in touch with our real essence of human being. And this is how arts can be used. Our arts can play a very important and positive role within an organization to make our organization better organization for the people working in. But with also not only the capacity for making people feeling better, but the capacity to make the organization a better organization, to create better value and better impact on out there in the environment. This is clear in this case in healthcare organizations, but it's true in many other organizations. And this is also what a lot of software companies intuitively have understood when Google, they started to create different workplaces to engage their workers. So the point is emotion is a very important variable for the success and will be increasingly important for the success of organization. The other component is, the other pillar of value creation is energy. Again, business doesn't speak about energy, really. I mean, we are in a part of the world where the concept of qi, and then you have tai chi, one, no? You have the management of qi as an important dimension of the life of people. But energy is very important, and many organizations are now realizing that they need to manage this energy. Again, Google has regular courses about managing your energy and search inside yourself. Other software companies are introducing meditation room in order to understand and develop this energy. In Europe and nowadays in the United States, it's becoming very fashionable to talk about mindfulness, how to be able to be present to yourself, to be in the flow, and to be able to manage this flow dimension. So the point here is that the arts can be used as a way to manage this energy. Definitely they can be. This is actually the sentence from Beth Hardy, which was one of the director of JP Morgan, and she said, I don't meditate, but exactly what you describe about how to get to this place of calm and letting emotion just flow through you, getting to this place of additional consciousness and mindfulness, I achieve by looking at art. And this is what you get when you are in the present, a very important piece of art. You feel the energy. And this is what a role that fine arts and arts can play within an organization. They can create, they can become catalyzer of energy. Think about the room with all the paintings. When you walk in and you feel inspired, you feel energy. But when you choose a specific sculpture with this feeling of this role, and then you create also activities around. Energy is very important, and actually here I have another video that I really like, I love to show, is a video from Steve Ballmer, the Microsoft.
Ladies and gentlemen, Steve Ballmer!
You see Steve Ballmer 2 years ago, how he introduced and opened up the convention of Microsoft.
For you. I love this company. Yes!
I have 4 words for you. I love this company and the energy. You see the end. Why? You can say it's an Americanata, as we say in Italian. It's an American approach. Well, maybe it is. Maybe it's a marketing way, but it's a way that shows you that it's important to give this energy, to create this tension for action for people. And how you do? In this case, it was performing on the play, but the point is that we need to manage this energy also within the organization. We need to make sure that in the organization we have attention for action. We have the right energy that will drive our employees toward the achievement of results. And this is becoming more and more important for organizations, not just managing productivity using the traditional toolbox from the management discipline, TQM, total quality management approach. But the point is, when today we talk about Kaizen from the Japan culture of continuous performance improvement, we need to make sure that people are aligned not only with their own knowledge, with their technical knowledge, but we need to make sure that people are engaged and motivated to really find new solutions, and they have the energy and the mindset to do that. And so energy is more and more important. The 4th E of success for the 21st century organization is ethics. When we think about the financial crisis was really the result of a lack of ethics in many of the organizations, in many of the leaders, in many of the CEO. So the point is, how can we create the right ethics nowadays within the organization? Companies are challenged, they are engaged in defining their values, trying to address what are the right beliefs, try to define their mission and vision that can be engaging for their employees. They are basically trying to affect the attitude and behaviors of their people. But all these components cannot be just managed using the traditional approaches that the business schools in the last 100 years have proposed. And what are these tools? Usually are the list of values, a description of the mission, a description of the vision. But this is very kind of difficult to grasp from employees. It's not something that is connected to them. So the point is that when we think about ethics, ethics is about really making the culture, the values of an organization tangible, understandable, something that the people can grasp, can make them self, they can become intrinsic in their behavior. And here, arts can play a very important role, because arts, in a very simple way, can transmit ethical the dimension without too much communication. Go straight in our heart, go straight in the deep part of our brain. And arts can really represent the value, the culture. What are the behaviors that we are creating in our society, in our organization? So again, culture and arts can become a tool for developing the right ethics and the right behaviors within an organization, without really describing them, but really touching the people deeply. And then we were talking already about environment. Environment is another fundamental component of the success of the organization in the 21st century. Environment is important because more and more we are concerned with the external environment, with the natural environment, but also more and more with the urban environment. There is a lot of attention all around the world about creating creative cities, smart cities. And the concept of smart is not only about technology. It's not only creating a tech-oriented place, but it's also about creating a place where people can feel really good. When we think about human being and we talk about smart human being, it's not only someone who is very, very clever with a high level of IQ. It's also the emotional part is very important. And how can we manage this emotional component of the external environment, of urban spaces? Well, arts are playing a very important role. Think about graffiti. In many cities in East Europe, graffiti has been the really driver to transform the cities in area, in suburbs of many places. So as a way to transform the living space. But then, very importantly for organization, how can we shape better workplaces? How we can create places that are inspiring, that create the right atmosphere, that are able to drive the well-being of people. In Europe, in Denmark now, for example, they are even starting to design hospitals only using arts as a driver for creating and shaping right space. The last office of Microsoft in Helsinki doesn't have anymore the traditional, neither open space nor traditional office. They design different spaces with different artworks in order to stimulate different thinking and different experiences in the people. So again, there is a new generation of workplaces that are happening all around the world that are becoming, and they will become more and more important. And then finally, the last E of success for organization in the 21st century is engagement. Engagement is about making sure that people give the best of themselves. In the 20th century, the key words in management was empowerment. How can we give to people the power to make the decision? And also, how we can make sure that people have the right knowledge to take the right decision. Today, and in the future more and more, is not only the empowerment, the right knowledge that is important, but it's the engagement. How people are engaging what they do. Because this is something that we can experience every day. Only if we are fully engaged in what we do, we can get the best results. And this is a key dimension for organization, how we can create engagement. Again, I'm sorry, this is a picture, this didn't come very well, but I think you can recognize it's one of the symbols of this country, no? Again, I took this in the museum, but I have also another video that I want to show you to somehow to communicate and to show you how the use of arts in the form of films, in the forms of artworks can become a good way to create this feeling of engagement in people. This is a video that has been developed by the Indian government about, again, engagement.
सर आपके लिए उस पार कार का इंतजाम किया है
कुछ करो ना।
मैं वहाँ जाके क्या उखाड़ लूंगा?
कैसी जाने बूंदे आई, जाने कैसा दर्द लाई, सामने क्या है ये तेरे, क्यों रुका है तू बता दे वो। कौन तुझको पार लेगा, कौन होगा वो मसीहा, वो जिसे तू ढूंढता है, वो ही है तू, तू वही है।
example, no? How we communicate, engage, how we can create the energy, the people to be engaged. Arts have this power. There is not any other way. Arts have this power, and you can use fine arts with this kind of approach. So the point is that the idea of the 6E, this 6E that I just presenting you, represent the value drivers for the 21st century organization. Organization that will prosper in the future, that will need to deal with this dimension. The traditional toolbox from the management discipline cannot help them to handle this 6E. They need to look for other dimensions. And it's there where arts play a fundamental role. When I was talking about the beginning of my presentation about arts-based management, what arts can do for business, well, it's really about managing all these 6 intangible E that are related to our really essence as a human being. And it's where arts play a very critical, fundamental role. And then why this? Well, because arts basically is a way to engage our sensory and symbolism. Arts is a tool for engaging our aesthetic experience as human beings. And then the real role of arts, and any form of arts, is that arts are really the aesthetics technologies. And then this is particularly clear when we are observing, when we are living fine art, an artwork. So that is a way, is an artifact that engage us in an aesthetic experience. And this aesthetic experience can play different roles. For someone, it can be a way to self-reflect. For someone else, it's a way to provoke. And this is the role of contemporary arts. And this is why you, as art galleries, have a different passion and love for different artworks, because they tell you something different. And when the real collector, choose the different artworks on the basis of their own passion, of course there is a economical calculation sometimes there, understanding how these arts will grow, but there is also a very emotional and technological aesthetic dimension there, because they are choosing something that is communicating something to them. And this is also important for you to understand when you want to engage with the business on different levels, not just selling an artwork, but using that artworks as a catalyzer for change within the organization, the kind of aesthetic technology role that that artwork will play, and how that role can be replicated, can be declinated within the organization in many different ways. So arts is a very powerful tool, the instrument, as I was introducing, for managing this 6E and achieve the benefits that I've presented in the art value matrix. Where are the organizations today in terms of collaboration with arts in general? Well, we are still in this kind of reality. We have to be aware that most of the organization, most of the business, and most of the organization working in the cultural sector, in the arts world, are still in this situation. There is still a gap between the business and the arts. So when I think about the arts gallery, still you are in the position of selling traditional products, traditional services to the business. But there are some organizations that from the position of observers, they are starting to become what I call adopters. They are starting to understand that they can use arts in different ways. They can use arts as a way to communicate within the organization. They can use arts as a way to raise their identity, to manage their brand. Some organizations, even they are transforming. Think about the retailing. In some retailing shop, they are really transforming themselves. They are not anymore just shops. They are arts galleries, where people walk in to buy a suit, but then they first have an experience, and then the suit is somewhere else. And then there is this more and more strong collaboration between brands, high luxury brands, and artists. Why? Because this association is creating mutual benefits from both of them. And there is a lot of value creation. Arts can be used as a way to stimulate product development, can be used as a way to engage the community and support social corporate responsibility. So there are organizations that are experimenting the use of arts in different functions, but still they are adopters, in the sense that they use arts as a kind of out-of-shell solution. And then there are few organizations around the world that are starting to integrate the arts in their life. These are what I call the integrators. The integrators are those that really believe the arts can transform the way how they operate, the way how they think. And one of the many organizations, not a lot, but one key organization in Italy in particular is Edica Group. This is a medium company, even if they are world leader in the production of kitchen oven. And what they do, basically, they use arts in whatever they do. They use arts, fine arts, they invite artists for team building, for training. Then they have their own foundation where they buy and collect contemporary arts. They use arts when they are managing industrial marketing, and they connect and they create exhibition where they put together the artwork, their products and the artworks. And this association in order to show what are the links between their product and also the artworks that they are collecting. But also they use the artworks and the relationship with the artist as a way to inform their research and development capacity. So it's just an example of an organization which is trying to integrate the arts in whatever they do. Why? Because they say we want to avoid the paralysis of thinking. And in order to avoid the paralysis of thinking, we need to have continuous injection of the arts in our life. And this is what they do. So how all this conversation that we have developed so far can be translated somehow into action for arts galleries, which is somehow the context where we are here. Well, first of all, it's important to list some of the facts around the arts galleries. Usually arts galleries are small enterprises, and they are 1 to 2 people, and they are small enterprises. It's very important also to stress that they tend to be centered on the founder passion and resources. So it's a founder that somehow has some resources or has some friends, and the resources can be not only financial but are also relational. Usually the founder is a good friend of some of the artists or create good relationship with some of the artists, and the arts gallery is a way to create a platform for them to present and introduce and sell their artworks. Then other very important dimension is the profit of the arts gallery. These are some of the results that have been run around the world, and the situation can be different. But usually the margin of the arts gallery are not particularly high, actually are quite low, and usually they tend to be very unstructured. There are very few permanent staff, few employees, and very interesting, 3 out of 5 arts gallery tends to go out of business after a few years. This is some of the statistics around Europe. So when we think about this dimension, this is a way to show what? That first of all, arts gallery are businesses, are small businesses, but they have to be approached as small businesses. They have a lot of challenges because their margins are low. They cannot really count on cash flow which is continuous, so the forms of revenue are quite challenging. They have a lot of problem around the structuring, and also everything is kind of centered on the founder. So there are quite a lot of challenges that arts galleries have to deal with in order to survive in the business world. So my suggestion for arts gallery, on the basis of my speech, as I was introducing in the beginning of my presentation, where they are standing arts gallery. They are a gatekeeper. What I think they should become in the future, and they can become, is what I call arts agents, or somehow catalyzer of change. So basically, in the beginning, this was just what I think the arts gallery can support or can find new ways of supporting cross-innovation. So they can explore new ways of engaging the business on a different level, and not just presenting the artworks, but try to understand what kind of other roles they can play using some of the suggestion and inspiration that I've provided you today. But in order to do so, arts galleries have some major challenges. And the challenges are represented in this graph. First of all, these are the 2 dimensions that I think the arts gallery needs to focus on if they want to succeed. They are challenged to think more strategically. And when I say they have to think more strategically, I mean they have to understand how they can develop new value streams, how they can engage with the businesses on a different level, and not just on the traditional way. So they have to develop new vision, mission, like a proper enterprise. And on the other hand, they have to reflect on their business model. how they operate, or how they are structured. Because if a business, an arts gallery, is not visionary and not strategic in the thinking, and at the same time is not capable of managing properly the business model, their operation, this is what I call going nowhere or zombie. These are part of the 3 out of 5 arts gallery that will die very soon. Because they don't have a vision, they don't have an operating model, so they start because they have some kind of gut feeling, but then they will not be able to succeed. Then there are some other organizations that are quite good in operating their activity because they have been doing this by a very long time. They know the artists, they have created some good relationship with some businesses. So basically, they are doing well and they can survive, and these are conservative. Conservative because they've been doing this business by a long time, they're quite established brands, quite good galleries, they have their own portfolio of clients, so they can survive. But they are conservative. Until everything works well, everything they will go away. But maybe the model of arts gallery one day will disappear. There could be new forms of new business model, new way of interacting between the artists. Maybe the artists will start to understand they can create their own galleries as a corporation. They are already trying to do. So they can find new ways of presenting and selling their artworks without going through the mediation of the arts gallery. Then there are some arts gallery that are what I call dreamers. The dreamers are the arts gallery where the founder is really a dreamer. I want to do this, I want to engage the business on a different level, I want to create a relation with the museum, with corporation, but they lack the kind of business model capacity. They are not able, they don't understand that this is a business and it needs to be managed as a business. So they are dreamers because they can have a lot of dreams, but they don't have capacity for action. And then finally, the excellent is where we have organizations that are starting to understand, arts gallery, that are starting to understand they need to think in a different way, in a strategic way, and at the same time they need to pay attention on their organizational structure. They need to realize that as a business, they have to build their business model, their capacity. They have to understand how they work, how they make the money, how they operate, what kind of value they are providing to the collector, what kind of collector, how they are creating the right relationship, and so on and so forth, how they are delivering. So they need to reflect on their own business model and engage in a different way. So, back to the future for the arts gallery. I believe that where we are with the value for the gallery. So if the arts gallery will be able to develop the business model, to innovate and manage in a proper way the business model, and at the same time to think strategically, and I hope that the 6E, the value matrix, is a way to inspire your thinking, well, they will continue to prosper. But unfortunately, if they will not be able to manage their business model, neither their capacity of strategic thinking, they are probably, their destiny is the decline. So some final remarks, and then we can open the question and answer session. First of all, going back to my original question, what is the goal of Arts Gallery? What is the value? Why Arts Gallery exists? This question is basically related to what is the value of the arts in today's economy. Well, the value of arts can be summarized, in my opinion, in these 5 dimensions. The first dimension is arts play a very fundamental role as a social and cultural instrument. So we need arts, because arts is a way to express ourselves, it's a way to advance our society. So they play a very important role as a cultural and social means, and this is the reason why the government should be endeavored to support museums, have to create public galleries, and so on and so forth. So there is a public good here that needs to be developed. But then arts has also an intrinsic value. We develop arts for the art's sake. A lot of collectors that just buy arts because they want to be inspired. They want to have a piece of art in their house. They can see them, they can feel, they can give them some emotion. And the arts gallery are contributing to deliver this kind of value to this collector. The arts is, as such, is creating an arts market. Well, around the concept of art markets is one of the markets that's been continuously growing, even during the recession, even during the financial crisis, the arts market was still keeping growing. So there is an economic value of the arts. The arts represent an asset in itself. Arts are becoming also very important as, because they represent a driver for the development of a new industry. This is the industry that is called creative and cultural industry. The IT is a part of this, the software game, but for example in Europe there is a lot of focus and attention on the creative industry, which is also about the creation of services, the service industry. So the creative industry is a way to create new employment, new job opportunities. But then finally, I believe arts has an instrumental value. Arts can be used as a way to transform and innovate business. And this is the area that has been less explored, and this is where I invite to reflect you, because when you think about the goal of the arts gallery, as we were discussing at the beginning of my presentation, economic, artistic, and social culture, basically you are covering these 4 dimensions, but this is completely an explored area, and this is something that can be even more exploited in the future to support the development of your business, and more in general to support the partnership between arts and business. So my final recommendation, or my final note, well, at the end of the day, what we have to always be aware of, that the real importance of the arts is because arts make us more human. And through the arts we can humanize the organization. And this is the real power of the arts in business. Because at the end of the day, as human beings, the most valuable asset that we have is our life. And we need to live our life fully. And the arts probably have been created, invented as a way to let us understand the value of our life and to feel our life. And this is what the arts can do at the end of the day. Thank you very much for your attention, and now I'm happy to take questions. Do we have a microphone? Yeah.
Should I speak English?
As you like, because there is the simultaneous translation. So probably if you speak English, it's better for me.
I'm not so agree with your opinion, because I think gallery, the value of the gallery is actually not focused on art, but artworks. And their main mission is actually to try to increase the value of artworks. And I also appreciate your opinion that art has many functions and art has many faces, in the, especially in the business part. But I think if a gallery cannot do their work well, if they cannot boost the value of their artworks, they should get out from the market. They should get out from the industry. And I think the role, the artistic, how to put more artistic value in the business is not the mission and not the role for a gallerist. Because I think maybe the business should adapt, or they should hire an art director instead of galleries to help them to educate their employees, or to improve their atmosphere of their workplace, or to increase their energy, something like that. So I don't know how to do it.
Yeah, it's a good point. It's a good point. I see your point. Of course, the primary role of an art gallery is not to become a training company or a personal development company. So that still the primary role of an art gallery is to push forward the value of an artwork, or to promote some artists, good artists. And actually the arts gallery, we have to say that play 2 fundamental roles, because it's an intermediary, is a gatekeeper, both for the artist but also for the understanding of the artwork, of the knowledge about the artworks, because there are a lot of curators, a lot of knowledge that, so it's a way also to transfer some of the knowledge to the business world. So it's not just pushing the artist, identifying the right artist, but it's also building knowledge around the artist. And all this is a way to increase and improve the value of the artwork. So when we think about the role of arts gallery, I perfectly agree with you. The primary role is to do what they have been, their mission is about promoting and selling artworks. The idea of my speech is to show other opportunities that can be created, or secondary, if you want, opportunities that some of the arts gallery could explore, but more generally, my conversation is generally for all the arts world. And the arts gallery are one component of this big universe, of the cultural universe, because there are cultural centers, other cultural institutions. What I'm trying to develop in my work is to show that arts has a lot to offer to the business, and we need to build this creative partnership between arts world and the business world. In the arts world, there are many actors operating. The arts gallery is one of the many actors. Then some arts gallery have to do their own business, as you say, have to be focused on their own primary role. But then maybe there could be some other organization. When I think about the association, or when I think an arts district, then there could be a space for exploring other opportunities. And then in any case, it's very important, I believe this is my perspective, for a founder, for a manager of a gallery, to understand other value dimensions that they can be created, apart the value and the market value of an artwork. So, and this is also related to where the arts gallery is positioned. Usually arts gallery are positioned in what is called the primary market. They interface directly with the collector, but then there is also a secondary market where an artwork has been already negotiated in the market and is bought, is sold. So the point is that where they are positioned themselves is very important. So there is a lot to discuss, but the point, and this is what my point is, mainly to inspire your thinking and to see that could be other opportunities. But then I still agree that the main role of an arts gallery is still to promote an artworks and to sell in the art market. There was a question here, I think.
My English is poorer than my Chinese.
Okay,
please. 我想请问一下，就是您刚刚的这个所有的这个演讲过程中，谈到的都是比较属于心灵上的一种感受。那其实因为我是一个台湾人，可是我住在中国17年。我原来是做 IT 的，几年前一个机会进入到艺术这个领域。我又在上海念的一个企业管理的一个硕士，所以我觉得您讲的这个东西，我不晓得你这个课程在欧洲比较先进，对艺术或者是文化方面比较先进的区域或国家，跟到亚洲比较先进的，比如说香港、台湾，在经济的发展、文化的这个进步程度上稍微比欧洲落后一点，可是又比中国现在这个状况更稍微往前走一点。您这样的课程，你有没有发现过？或者是因为我不晓得您在亚洲待的时间多久？您因为今天包括在台湾，我觉得台湾的收藏家已经稍微比较成熟。我讲的不一定是在投资的领域的金额上面很大，而是他的收藏的这种心态上面比较成熟的情况。即使是这么大的一博会，我们只能看到大概20-30个人在这个地方听你的演讲，表示反映一个现象，大家对理解这个东西的兴趣没有那么高，可能还是在追求艺术的很表面的东西。那更何况，如果我再回到中国，比如说像上海，我住在上海住了11年，我理解他们在投资艺术品这个角度当然不一定是从画廊，从投资者的角度，从艺术爱好者，他更多的是从投资的角度，而不是从喜好的角度。所以我不晓得您有没有在中国上过课，有没有对这种从欧洲到开发中已开发国家跟开发中国家跟比较落后的这个地区，对理解您这样的课程有没有不同的角度的思考，或者是您对在授课的角度上会有不同的差异？这是我的一点比较大的一个问题。
Well, thank you for the comment, which is really relevant actually, and is relevant in the sense that in reality, well, in Europe there is now a big tension about developing new industry and new capacity for business. Because as you are aware, Europe has lost all the manufacturing power because we outsource everything, basically everything to Asia. And now also the research and development, and also a lot of the IT is happening here. So Europe has started to reflect what is the key asset, the key resource that Europe has. And the key asset is somehow the creativity, is the culture, is this capacity of using this source. So there is now a lot of tension in Europe to develop the creative industry as a big sector where there are many dimensions, and the culture sector is one of them. But also in Europe, the level of understanding of the power of culture and arts is not so advanced as you could imagine. Because still a lot of organizations are still, as I was mentioning in my presentation, they are still skeptical, or they have a kind of gut feeling that arts can do something, but they don't know how they could incorporate the arts in their business. And this is because, this is basically because the kind of education that we developed for the business school in the last 100 years, all around the world, from Shanghai to Harvard, is the old paradigm of the scientific management. What I mean is that all the business school and all the businesses are run on the basis of the scientific management principles that have been developed in US from the business school and then exported to Europe, and then from Europe now to Asia. So the kind of training and business principle that characterize the businesses is kind of homogeneous, is the same. So even in Europe, there is still a struggling process in understanding how the culture can serve a different role. Probably they are more advanced in some dimension compared to this part of the world, but only for, I believe, the level of maturity is not only related to a culture or sensitivity level, but it's probably because in this culture, this is my feeling, I'm not a big expert of Asian culture, so it's just really anecdotal and really personal perspective. Probably because here the arts is also still a kind of a status symbol. So if you make a lot of money, you buy artworks because it's kind of a way to distinguish yourself. So you have a lot of money, you spend the money. And then, when you spend the money, probably you are less interested because kind of you make money in the hedonic and emotional value of the product and the role that this product can play in your life and the life of the organization. You are more interested in the financial value because then you still keep kind of this mentality. But this is something that I believe will be very quickly overcome. And this is for one reason. I believe that somehow the Asian country have an advance. And the advance is because you are, in your culture, the idea of energy, not maybe the emotion, but you have another concept, which is this concept of alignment of the energy is part of your culture. So people have a deep understanding that if they want to get better, good, even if they maybe has been lost for many different reasons, but there is this kind of understanding of the role that this some invisible dimension can play in the success. So my point is that, first, to answer to your question, Europe is, yes, advanced because it's investing more in culture, but the level of understanding of the business is not so advanced as you can think. Second, in China, there are some advances, in Asia, there are some advances related to, I mean, there is not this kind of deep understanding probably of the role of culture in business, but there is a huge emerging interest in China and all in Japan. But then there is one subtle advantage, variable of advantage, which is related to your culture and to the role that you play to this invisible dimension for the success of people. And this is, you can find in Japan, you can find here in Taiwan, you can find in China, and probably at some point, once the economic development will be more spread across the country, and there will be more, then there will be less tension on accumulating capital and more tension on starting to develop the organization. Because now, I believe in the last decade, what has been happening in this part of the world, the idea was we need to organize ourselves to reach the target. So we have to produce. So we started from scratch, we have to build companies, we have to reach the success, so we have to be very focused on the operation and be ready to deliver the product. Once these companies are now operating and they are well established, the next level for them is now to start to reflect how we can keep our competitive advantage, how we can keep ourselves running, and they will start to focus on this attention. I was recently in Seoul, in South Korea, I've been invited there, and the organizations are starting, not only organization, government is starting to reflect on how they can use arts in business. Because people are workaholic, they are extremely stressed, they need to improve the work environment, and they are trying to address the use of arts in different way in their workplaces in order to improve the way how they operate. Why they are doing now? Because now they reach kind of maturity in their operation model, and now they need to move to another level where they start not only to train their people in terms of their technical knowledge, but they need to now to develop the organization more organically. So I think very soon that will be the next step for Asia, and these comments are my comments based on my own personal experience, but I believe there will be quite a lot of space. And that there will be even more demand for arts in the business. Also because it's part of, I mean, for what I've seen, is a part of the culture. I mean, the culture is there, and you have a long tradition going back 1,000 years. Different from Europe, but you have your own culture, very strong one too. So there will be somehow recovered and brought in the business too. Actually, it's quite interesting. I'm more interested, if I can open this other comment, is I believe that there is, I mean, it's interesting, the art fair that I've been observed, that there is not really a lot of typical Chinese, I mean, Asian artworks. It's like if the artists are trying more to express themselves in a different way, rather than to explore their own roots. And I think in their own roots there is a lot of arts that is extremely powerful. And actually that art is very interesting also for the Western countries. So this is just a comment. Any comment or question? We have 10 minutes, please.
我用中文好了，对不起。那个刚才有提到，就是说我们如果从累积资产到一个文化的发展，那我们把尺度拉回到台湾，其实台湾整个产业的发展，我觉得也到一个新的分水岭，就是面对一个新的一个台湾产业的发展，我们在问竞争力的时候，常常会想到，文化或创意的元素，或怎么进到一个更广度的一个发展里头。那因为我现在想要问的一个问题就是说，那看起来这样的人才其实是很新的，是一个新的人才的一种，要被找出来，就是说他了解艺术，然后如何把艺术的能量或艺术的价值进到企业。那在台湾，其实大家也看到，就是说过去在谈文创产业化，那现在也在谈产业文创化，就在各行各业的产业里头，怎么样把文化跟艺术进到产业，形成员工创新的思维或组织的改造。那就像你那个9宫格的那个价值矩阵里面，那我现在比较想请教我们的教授是说，那在人才的养成上，您这么多的经验，因为台湾现在也在问这个问题，就是产业导进更多的艺术，可是那样的人才里头，是要一个新的一个视野或新的一个训练机制去启动这个关键。那这我是对于人才如何找到这样的人才，以及这个人才如何被训练出来这样的问题跟您请教。
This is an important point too. Thank you for the question. In order to incorporate arts in business, you need to be proficient in both languages. What I mean is that you need to have people that understand the culture and the arts and understand the problems of the business. Because when we think about the application of the arts in business, it's not just I hang a nice painting in a boardroom, or I bring in some artist in the organization and something magical will happen. There's no working like that. Is the integration of these two words, like in the note that represent our center, is something that has to be planned, has to be designed, has to be facilitated. In order to do that, you need to develop new professionals. So people that have an understanding of the properties and characteristics of culture, but they have also an understanding of the problematics of the business. In order to do so, you have to operate on two levels. One level is that you need to support the new forms of education. And that means that arts and business somehow have to converge. And this is also something that is slowly happening. In the US, there is more and more tension about introducing entrepreneurship courses and management courses in the art school, with the idea to equip artists or future artists with a basic understanding of how they can run their business and how they can better engage with the business world. On the other hand, the business schools, and they are starting, even the MBA program, to incorporate more and more arts-based training method or experiential method, even using, for example, design thinking or other approaches. So there is also kind of slowly revolution in training the business people, because there is an understanding that you cannot just train their scientific mind, but you need to develop other mindset using the arts. So one is the training, but this is a long-standing process. It will take some time to review the curricula and then to develop this new professional. On the other hand, from more practical point of view, there are some professionals, some organizations that are specializing themselves as producers or interfaces between arts and business. These are usually consultants, or they are artists that have developed some experience between arts and business, and then they started to promote or develop products to bring arts into the business. So in Europe there are some organizations, many organizations, that are starting, for example, to design a leadership development program, team building program for employees, engaging program for employees. So a lot of different activities in order to support arts-based development within the organization. As well as there are more and more organizations that are starting to explore how to apply design and arts in business. But actually it's quite interesting, because I was walking in my second day here in Taipei, and accidentally I visited one coffee bar from where I took the picture of the CD that I was showing before, and I was talking with a guy who was running a small exhibition on the top of this coffee bar, and then talking, and so what you do, and this guy was saying, so what I'm trying to do is to bring together artists and designers and investigate the needs of the companies in order to develop some different things. And so basically, he showed me this product, but he showed me many other products. So there is this kind of starting understanding in the young generation art entrepreneurs that there are opportunities that can be captured. And these are people that start to work, they are new forms, if you want, of curators. These are producers, now not really curators, are producers in the sense that they produce or put together the best art form to address the business problems. So practically, you need new professionals, new education, and then also the government can play an important role for policies. Because the government, for example, in Europe, there are some actions that are supporting the collaboration between arts and business. So what they do, the government, they support co-financing, they co-finance projects of businesses that want to work with the creative or cultural organization. So they match usually 50% of the cost of working with cultural organization. So this could be the three main actions that will support the development of the integration of these two words. I think we have time for at least one question.
老师您好，老师您好，我是想请问，刚刚从您的演讲当中， 是听到有2个部分，前部分是比较属于商业，它如何去做一个艺术跟美学的价值，让它的品牌或产业去提升。那另外一个部分是说，身为艺廊或者是说一个艺术机构的角色，他的目的是想要去推广他们自己的艺术家，去卖他们的艺术作品画。那在认知上面，他们出发角度其实稍微有点不同的。那假如说今天一个产业它本身并没有一个对艺术美学概念的专业人才，那在之间这个建立这个平台上面，是否针对客群的不同，或者是说大家认知上面的不同，怎么去建立一个沟通的途径？然后或者是说，老师您有没有什么实例是艺廊或者是艺术机构跟产业之间如何去做所谓的一个异业结盟的经验分享？
In terms of arts galleries, no, I don't have any example, to be honest, of arts galleries that are playing this role, not at least the private galleries. There are some institutions that are trying to foster a major collaboration, but this tends to be a huge institution like the Tate in London. But Tate is not one small private gallery, it's an institution, public funded gallery, I mean system of gallery. So private galleries, no, I'm not aware of this. There are some galleries, however, that I'm aware, that are starting to use their space in a different way. So not only as a way to showcase their artworks, but also as spaces for other activities. So they try to integrate other activities in what they do. There could be educational activities, it could be hospitality activities for the business. So basically they are trying to develop other activities in their own normal operating system that can bring in some cash, but also can be a way to extend the traditional audience. And from that case there are more kind of, it's more widespread. But then one specific art gallery that has developed the capacity in terms of communication, in terms of engaging business, no, I'm not aware of any specific example. But again, there are emerging some kind of different collaboration. Maybe really, I mean, I think it's 12 o'clock midday. So if any other question? I think we had a long session. Thank you very much once again.
Thank you, John, for incorporating your valuable knowledge and experience in Art Taipei. Yeah, and thank you all for your comments and feedback. Now we have a 1.5 hour lunch break, so we'll come back at 1:30, so we'll begin our next session. Thank you.